building $1 million cleaning company with zero cleaning experience. Lesson number 4, which is all about recruiting. All right, let's do it. So who's this for? Let's start with this. Who this is for, so you guys know if you're in the right place or not. This is for 2 types of cleaning business owners. Number 1, make sure you got to want to build a $1 million cleaning business that you're looking to hire your first employee. Like this training is going to be what you're looking for. Or if you're an established business who wants to scale your business to the point where you are no longer working you want to work on your business rather than in your business, or you want to work on your business rather than in your business. Like this is going to be the presentation for you. So my goal is really to show you how to build $1 million cleaning company without you having to operate it. Okay. So, again, it's easy. It might seem easy to me here, like that I'm the person on top of the hill, but I'm telling you what, like I'm just at the front of the classroom. I'm just teaching this. I'm just a couple of steps ahead of you guys. And so it wasn't that long ago that I myself was a struggling small business owner, just experiencing the daily grind of entrepreneurship. And my goal, right, just kind of like most of you guys, is like trying to create a path to financial freedom. And so I just wanted to prove that I had this crazy idea in my head. How can I take it from here and put it into the real world? And so I actually found entrepreneurship not because I really wanted to. I didn't really have a choice. And so I was working at a big box gym my first 2 years out of school. Think like 24-hour fitness, right? I was a personal trainer there. And I actually had visions of working there forever. Like I'm someone who's actually very loyal. I'm very connected to people. Like I will stick with somebody for a very long time. And my vision was actually just move my way up into management. I loved the gym. I loved where I was working. And my goal was to actually just run the gym. And so it was at that moment, though, again, about 2 years in with my boss, his name was Josh Palmer. He was actually denied further advancement. He was trying to get some ownership, and he had been with the company for 10 years. It took them from, a small location to this huge, it's like a 15 or 20,000 foot location. It's a big gym. And once they denied his opportunity to buy in and to like have further advancement in the company, again, he had already spent over a decade. I was like, okay, my dreams, I saw them crumble right before my eyes. I was like, I am just a warm body here. I'm just feeling a spot. Okay. And so, it was one of those realizations. It was one of those subtle things. Again, it didn't directly happen to me, but I could see somebody who was that valuable to the company that they weren't going to give him the opportunity. Like the chances of me getting the opportunity were very, 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 very low. And so I started looking around, right? And again, my first goal was actually not to go start my own company. I was like looking around for another company to work for. But Bozeman is a relatively small town, only about 50,000 people. And so the opportunities for what I was looking for were far and few between. There wasn't any other bigger fitness centers in the area. Everything else were like CrossFits or yoga studios or Pilates studios. And just there was nothing there that fit my vibe when I was looking for and my vision as well. So I eventually came to the conclusion that I was gonna have to start my own gym, right? And I did it reluctantly because like I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any exposure to the business world, like whatsoever. Like neither of my parents were entrepreneurs. My mom was a dental hygienist for 20 plus years. My dad was about as opposite of entrepreneur as you could be. He was active duty Air Force for 29 years. It's one of the reasons that we moved around so much is because they told us where to go, where to live, where we could, what his shifts were and all that stuff for 29 years. And so my desire to actually create this environment for my clients, though, and to create a business and do something for myself, like that desire, it trumped this little scaredy bear voice in my head of like, Logan, you have no experience in entrepreneurship. You have no reason that you should be an entrepreneur. And so I just knew that I wanted something bigger and I wanted freedom, right? And so I ended up leaving the big box gym in 2013, only about 2.5 years after I started working there. And so fast forward another 2.5 years, I was struggling. Like I said, like this is me when I was struggling. I was 2.5 years into starting my business and I had never made more than $60,000 in revenue in a year, right? So keep that in mind. That's like less than $5,000 a month. I was the definition of just getting by. And I'll tell you what, every single day, my optimism for making it big and for creating this huge, amazing business, it was falling really, really fast. And so I realized I needed help, right? And that call for help, it was answered by an ad. And I was sitting in my little 300 square foot office at my gym, and this ad, it just stopped me in my tracks. And it was really simple. It really said one simple thing. It said, I will fill your gym in 30 days and I will do it for free. And I got like this in my chair and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about, right? This is an interesting offer. And so I applied to get more information. And yeah, it was 2 days later. I was sitting on Katie's bedroom floor. So the same Katie who you guys seeing here, my wife Katie. At the time, she was actually just my girlfriend. We didn't even live together. And I was sitting on her bedroom floor. It was a Saturday morning, and I had tears like coming from my cheeks. And I had this fear and anxiety from the decision I had literally just made just moments earlier. And I had just committed $10,000 to this stranger I met from this ad to make this dream of entrepreneurship, of making it big, for it to come true. Well, very fortunate for me, that stranger turned out to be a guy named Alex Hermosi. And over the next 30 days, I was able to turn that $10,000 into $50,000. And I still have that feeling with me today of gratitude and just so blessed that that opportunity was there and that I found the courage to act on it and just to follow through with it. It was, it was one of the hardest 30 days of my entire life. I grew more than I ever have in that time frame, but I still can feel those moments of gratitude for that opportunity. And even more grateful though for the next 8 months, where I was very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. One of the very first people who went through Alex's program, and we ended up developing a closer relationship over the next 8 months. And when he presented the opportunity for me to work for him and work for this company that had changed my life so much, like I honestly didn't need a ton of convincing. So I ended up taking 2 jobs for Alex. And from those 2 jobs, I ended up getting one really unexpected benefit. And so the first job I took with Alex was replacing him on what was called the daily call. And so the daily call was an hour-long support call that happened every single day. It was Monday through Friday. And the call started out really, really simple. He would ask everybody for their numbers. And so the numbers were, how much did you spend on ads? How many leads did you get? How many of those leads did you schedule? How many of those leads showed up to your gym? And how many of those shows did you actually close? And what was the total dollar amount that you made that day? And that's how it all started out. And then eventually from there, it got more into people asking questions on strategy and, talking about meal plans and talking about hiring questions, everything, right? And so Alex was the one who did those calls for, the first couple of years of Gym Launch. And I was very humbled at the opportunity to actually take those over from Alex. So he flew me out to, at the time he was living in California, spent a couple of days with him. It was like right before Thanksgiving of 2017. And it was much nicer in California than it was in Montana. And he kind of walked me through some of his decision-making filters. And that was my job. It was getting to provide support for these 1,000+ gym owners on this daily call every single day. So super grateful for the opportunity. I learned so much by teaching on that call. And that was what I really got out of that. The second position I got was a high-ticket closer. And so the way that Alex's program worked, he actually had 2 programs. He had his front-end program, which was called Gym Launch. And what it did is it gave gym owners the opportunity to experience his program for 16 weeks. And this was his marketing sales system. And so after those 16 weeks, they converted into his continuity program, which was called Gym Legacy. And Gym Legacy was actually a 3-year commitment. And so this was over $100,000 sale. And that was the one I sold. So I got the benefit of learning how to sell $100,000+ programs. And again, it was an experience, and it was really fun because I had already committed that to myself, that as a client. And so for me to sell to somebody else, I found it to be easier, because if I already made the commitment with my money, it was easier for me to convince somebody else to put their money down, because I saw the value in it as well. Again, both positions were so amazing. Did that for a couple of years, over 2 years. I did that for Alex. And then Along the way, though, I got a really unexpected benefit. And that benefit was experiencing how a $30 million company was built literally from zero. Because when I came in Alex's program as one of his first 5 clients, like the company was literally at zero. And by the time I got done with it, they were doing over almost $3 million a month, which again is over $30 million a year. And it was just a really cool thing that I didn't even think about when I accepted those 2 positions. And so I got to be part of all the team meetings. I got to be part of like the team experiences. I got to be part of like the team meetups and the events. And I got to interact with Alex and Layla and do one-on-ones with both those individuals. And it was cool to see not only how they operated, to the public, but how they operated to the team, which is like just a different animal in itself. So hopefully you guys are excited, because tonight I'm really going to share with you the 3 frameworks I learned while helping them build this $30 million company, and how you can use these frameworks in your $1 million cleaning business. So you guys ready for this? Like this one's going to be really good. So let me see the chat. I got the chat pulled open here real quick, and let's see who's excited to get down on some. Oh man, this one's good. Yeah, you guys ready for this? Yeah, this one's good. Come on, let's see a couple more people. Let's make sure everyone in here. We got about 20 people in here, 16 people in here. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this thing. Okay, so these are the 3 frameworks that we're going to be covering in lesson 4, which is recruiting. So framework number 1 is how to hire employees who have 0 experience. Framework number 2, how to find, hire, retain staff who will never leave you. And number 3, how to stack cleaners so you never have to clean again. So framework number 1, how to hire employees with 0 experience. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story about Kat, the trainer. So Kat was she's one of my favorite trainers. She wasn't the first trainer I hired, but she was probably the most valuable person that I've ever hired. And her value, it wasn't in her experience. It wasn't in her education. It wasn't in her special skill sets. In fact, she had 0. She had none of it. But what she did have is she had this amazing attitude. She had this like energy about her. When I interviewed her, I was like, man, like this girl is like, I felt something special about her. I knew that she'd be a culture fit. And ultimately I saw this opportunity. Okay. But it wasn't an opportunity for her. It was actually an opportunity for me. And so what that opportunity was to actually create a system for somebody who had 0 experience with being a trainer, who had 0 experience with the position that I was trying to hire her for. And for her not only to just fill a position, but for her to thrive in my business and in that position. And so I knew my decision to hire Kat was going to be either a glorious one or it was going to be disastrous. And so what I needed to do is I needed to take all the information that I had in my brain, and I needed to be able to clearly communicate it to someone who knew absolutely nothing. And so I had to do all that through the mediums of docs and PDFs and videos. I wasn't going to be the one who did the training myself. I wanted to do it through these assets. And so it was time consuming and it was a tedious process. My SOPs that I had for my trainer position, I literally had to double them. Okay. The number of videos that I had, I doubled them. I even added a test at the end just to like ensure that she could actually like follow the process and learn the system. And so the results, well, within 2 weeks, Kat was a client favorite. And the results turned out to be glorious. And so Kat, again, she was one of my favorite hires ever, but she honestly became one of my favorite teachers ever. And so what she showed me was the power in a standard operating procedure, right? She showed me that the better the procedure was, the less I needed to rely on previous skills of any of my job applicants. And this actually increased my applicant pool, because now I could have laser focus on hiring people for attitude over aptitude. And so by hiring this way, we have been able to build a cleaning team of amazing humans that we have taught how to be great cleaners. So who is ready to actually see how to onboard an employee, a staff member, a cleaner with 0 experience? You guys ready to see this process? This thing is really good. You guys excited for this? You guys ready? Okay, so this is the process that I learned from Alex and Layla by being part of the gym launch company. And the reason why they were able to grow and scale as fast as they did, from going from $0 to $30 million in less than a couple of years, is because they had really good systems, they had really good processes. And by the end of it, like it was just Alex and Layla who started the company. By the end of it, when I was with them, they had over 100 employees, right? And so they had to have really good systems along the way. And so one of the first things that I actually learned from Layla was clarity on the position. Okay. And so every single role that she hired, including mine, there had this document called the 4Rs. Okay. The 4Rs included roles, it included the requirements for the position, the responsibilities, and the results that were expected. And so on this document, it clearly lined out the position title and what these 4Rs were. And so these 4Rs gave the business owner clarity on exactly what they were hiring for, but also allowed the person who's getting hired clear expectations of what was expected of them. Okay. And so at the bottom of that 4Rs document was also communication cycles, right? So you were also it showed you what your communication cycles are going to be. So it means if you have one-on-ones, if there's specific team meetings, if there's daily huddles, like all your expected communication cycles were on there. So you know exactly what to expect on a day-to-day basis as well. The next thing it also had on there is your hours. Okay. So the amount of hours that you work in a week, or the hours that you're working per day, depending on, again, if you're salary or if you're hourly, all the hours were clearly defined on there. Compensation. So your compensation was clearly defined on there as well. So if you got paid, again, hourly, if you got paid commission, if you got paid a base plus commission, everything was put on there. So specifically for the cleaning company, we also put equipment on there. And so all of our cleaners actually rent our equipment, and they don't rent it for any money or anything. It just says that, hey, like, we're providing the equipment to you, and part of your employment is that you get to use this equipment. But once you are done, once you are no longer part of the company, like, you must return the equipment back in its normal condition. And the termination. So termination, again, it's like, nobody wants to talk about termination. No one wants to talk about the exit plan, but having a clear exit plan is very, very important. And part of our termination policy states that your position with our company is an at-will position, right? Which means that we can fire you at any time, and you can also quit at any time, right? And so there's no 30 days, 60 days. Like, it's always, we're always day to day. There is no, you get to try hard for 6 months, and after 6 months, you're in. It's like you're always showing up, and you're always proving yourself every single day. So that's part of our termination clause that's on our 4Rs document. And so this document is really good. It creates clarity, again, for both sides. So this document is so good. If you guys want this document, put it in the chat, and you guys are gonna get access to this document. Okay. You guys want this? The 4Rs document. So it's so good. So good. Okay. Put in the chat if you guys want this document. We'll make sure you guys get to it. Okay. So once you actually have clarity on the role, the next thing you do is you actually need to interview them. And so think of interviewing like a sale. Okay. Would you ever go into a sale without having some sort of format, some sort of script to follow? And most people would be like, no, of course I got to have a sales script. But how many of you guys have actually have an interview script? You guys know what you're going to say when you get on a interview with somebody. You have clear questions, you have clear intentions, you have clear structure on what the whole point of that interview is, right? And so most people don't. And so this interview script, again, this is something that we got from Layla as well. And we've obviously adjusted it for the cleaning company specifically. It's really, really good. And so let me break down the actual formatting of the script. Okay. So here's the format. Here's the framework of the script. The opening of the script is actually the discovery of the job applicant's goals. So the reason why this is important is because most business owners, they only want to talk about themselves. They think that they are high on the hill. They think they're superior. They think people should just bow at their mercy, and that they're doing them a service by providing a job. And so the person who's across the desk or across the Zoom screen, they should just be grateful that they have an opportunity to work. Well, you can believe that, but that opportunity will not serve you, and it won't create this culture of empowerment. And so ultimately, the first part of this script is the discovery of their goals and what they're trying to achieve in their life. And the more you understand the other person, the more they felt understood, the more influence you can have with them or over them, or however you want to phrase it. And so that's the first part of the script, is discovery of their goals and what they want, and to see what their intentions are, and just to honestly make sure that their goals and what they want, this position it is either like it fits it directly or it's a stepping stone to where they want to go. And so once you actually have identified their goals and you say, and you can clearly define like this position is going to help them get where they want to, then you can start to confirm the logistics of things like, well, do they actually have a car? Do they actually have a driver's license? Do they actually have insurance? Can they actually work the hours that they're supposed to work? So these are all things that should have been handled or that are addressed on the application, but you need to reconfirm them on the interview process, because sometimes people lie, not intentionally, just because like, oh, let me talk about that, and then they get to address it. And so it's on you as the hirer or the business owner to confirm all the logistics. That way you don't go through the process, hire someone, they're like, and you bring them on, they go through training like, oh, but I don't even have a car. Well, that should have been addressed, right? So make sure you confirm all the logistics. And then core values. So part of you learning about what their goals are and what they're trying to get out of this, like that's what you're always looking for actually, is like, what are their core values? And so thinking about that from a standpoint of, well, what are your core values? What are you looking for? And so we have our core values clearly defined. We're looking for things like consistency. We're looking for things like reliability, for adaptability or flexibility. We're looking for direct communication. And so anytime we ask questions, we're looking for, do they have those core values? And so then there, as part of the script though, we actually directly come at them with the core values. And we say, hey, like one of our core values is integrity. Like, give me an example of integrity that you've displayed in your life, right? And so basically directly attacking those core values, especially the ones that are super, super important. And again, your goal is to see how they respond to that. Do they actually, are they blamers, or do they take responsibility? Do they, are their stories weak or are they strong? You can tell like people get excited about that kind of stuff, or they're like, they kind of shy away from it. So identifying core values, that's one of the biggest things that you're trying to do in an interview, is that right there, trying to get down to like who they are as a human being, because how they are as a human being is going to dictate how they make decisions. And then after all that, then go ahead and share your business origin story. Okay. So this is actually not about the position specifically. This is the origin story of the business. Like every business should have a story. It should have a reason why you're in business. It should get people inspired of why you're doing what you're doing. And if you don't have this yet, it's okay. Like sometimes like you don't have to force it, but once you have that origin story, people can relate to it. They can connect to it. It makes them buy into the vision, right? And think about your favorite movies. Think about your favorite books. Like think about your favorite characters. Think about their struggles. Think about the climaxes. Think about how the story ended and unexpected twists and turns. Like that's what people want to buy into. That's what people like. And so if you can discover number one, what that is for your business, and then share it, like people get inspired and they want to work for a business that has that story, because then they feel part of that story. And that's all people want, is they want connection. They want to feel part of something bigger than just getting paid. And then once you go through the origin story, then you actually communicate the job specifics. So then if it's a cleaner, say, okay, for a cleaner, here's what we're offering for pay. Here's the hours we're looking for. And here's what's expected. Here's what the process looks like. And then again, like be as specific as you possibly can about what the job actually is. And then I like to do this at the very end, is like gauge interest. So now, again, think of it like a sale, right? So they came in not knowing anything but what you advertised and that they wanted a job. But after this 30 minutes of talking with you, now they're like, they should be thinking differently. And so they're either going to be like attracted to you, like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Or they're like, oh my God, this is a lot more work. This is not what I was looking for. And so at that point, you really want to gauge interest, right? And so it's like on a scale 1 to 10, 10 being like, you're so jacked about this, and 1 being like, I would never take this position ever. Give me an idea like where you're at, right? And you can say it half jokingly, and they're gonna be like, I'm a 10, like this is amazing. This was better than I thought it was. And then from there, you actually can get a pretty good idea if they're interested or not. Or they're like, yeah, I'm like a 7 or 8. And you're like, oh, 7 or 8, interesting. Why? Like what would make you a 9 or 10? And at this point, they're gonna answer one of 3 ways. They're gonna have a hurdle or a roadblock around something internal about them. Like maybe it's a skill set they have, or maybe it's a belief that they have about the position, or maybe it's something externally, right? Maybe it's like, oh, well, I don't really want to work that hard, or I didn't realize I had to drive my own car, or I thought I was going to get paid more or less, or I thought I was going to work in teams versus not teams. And so at that point, it's your goal just to gauge what that what that gap between them being a 10 is. And is it something you can fix, or is it something that's internal? And then from there, again, you can have a better idea of like, oh, I'm scared that I can't perform on this position, would be a common reason why someone's not a 10. I'm not sure if I can do it, right? So they just need some belief in themselves. But once you gauge interest, that's an important piece of the next equation, is like, you don't really want to offer a position to somebody who's not all in, who's not excited, because again, commitment is everything in any position. Like, anybody can be great at anything, but it's the commitment level that dictates whether somebody will be great or not. So at that point, you make the job offer, right? And then if they accept it, amazing. The next step of the whole process is onboarding. Okay. And so most people, onboarding is, okay, I hired you, show up at 8 a.m. on Monday morning, and we'll get to work. And people wonder why they're not successful with hiring people, and why people don't stick around, is because human beings love structure. They love process. They love systems. They love to see that somebody knows what they're doing, and somebody has like a process that is like, it's fluid and it makes sense, and it takes care of a lot of the hurdles. So onboarding is one of the most important pieces of the equation, especially for hiring cleaners and hiring any staff member for that matter. So part of the initial onboarding is actually a welcome email that clearly states exactly the process moving forward. It sends them out a DocuSign as well, with their handbook and their non-compete and their 4 R's document as well. And they sign all these documents. So they're signing their role, responsibilities, requirements, and results documents. The 4 R's document, it outlines their hours, everything we talked about before. So now they sign this and say, yes, I agree to this. They get an employee handbook, which again goes over more of the details of what we stand for as a company. And then we actually have them do a non-compete as well. The next thing that we have them do is payroll, right? So we have everyone on direct deposit. And so everyone's on direct deposit through our payroll process system, which we actually use QuickBooks. And so we get the payroll information. So we get their bank account, and we have them fill out their W-2 or W-9, whatever it is. And that way this is taken care of right away. So that way, make sure that we actually get them paid right away, because we actually pay weekly. So we need to get them in the system and ready to rock and roll, and make sure that their direct deposit, everything clears by the time they get their first paycheck. Next thing is we have them do basic training. So the basic training is actually a system that we bought, and they can do the cleaner training all online. Okay. And so we send them the basic training credentials, and it's their job to actually go through it on their own time and to pass basic training. The next step of the process is we have them fill out a bio. So we have them send in a picture that they would like to use, and we have them write up a little about me, about who they are. And the reason why we do this is, number one, so we get to know a little bit more about these our staff members, but also we actually send this to our clients, and so our clients know who's coming to their homes. This has actually been a really cool dual benefit, that our clients know when somebody comes in the house, they can literally go look at the link of all our biographies, and they can say, oh, Angel was at our house, and they can go click on her bio and see her picture and see her about me. That way they have an idea of who's coming into their home. We also make sure that they have a valid driver's license, and they also have to show proof of insurance, because all of our cleaners are driving their own cars. So they must be able to drive and drive insured. And then they must pass basic training, right? So they actually must go through the online training, and they must actually pass it. Okay. So this basically allows them to see it and be behind a computer, do it on their own time. And then we send them an orientation video. And then after that orientation video, we actually schedule their in-field training. And so the in-field training is they're going to be going hip to hip with one of our cleaning tech trainers, who's going to walk them through the process for an entire week on how we do our cleaning process, right? Our process for cleaning bathrooms and kitchens and making beds and doing vacuum lines, all the processes. We just ensure that we have a senior trainer, or a cleaning tech trainer, who's going to be hip to hip and ensure that this person does a quality job, so that they eventually can go out on their own, because our business model is all set up for solo cleans and solo cleans. So first week they're with a trainer, and the second week they're on their own. Of course, they must pass in-field training, which is pretty important to do. And so that is the process for literally hiring somebody who has zero experience. So who thinks that if they had that system, that they literally could hire not only cleaners, but they could hire anybody in their business? Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Cool. Okay. And again, so you guys get access to the cleaning tech 4Rs. You get the onboarding checklist. So the literally like the checklist that we use in our business to make sure that once somebody gets hired, they got to like check all these boxes. You guys get access to the welcome email, the employee non-compete, and the employee handbook. Like these things we spent lots of money and lots of time putting these together, and you guys can literally just get access to these. Again, it'll be on the slides and inside your membership area. So make sure you guys have that free account set up. So cool. You guys excited about that? Save you guys a lot of work. Yeah. Amazing. All right. Framework number 2. So this one is one of my favorite ones. And this one has been a game changer. So how to find, hire, retain staff who will never leave you. So in 2019, I took a risk on a new gym business model. And that new gym business model was called the hybrid gym. And so hybrid gym model, what it was it allowed me to use my facility, my gym, to do in-person sales. But everything that we sold was purely online. And so this meant that I had no in-person training sessions. And what it allowed me to do is basically use the legitimacy of having a gym, but fulfilling a service that was new at the time, which was online training. And so while the business model was similar, it was also very different. And the biggest difference really was in staffing. So our in-person gym took us about 10 employees to run, most of those being part-time trainers, where the hybrid model, it only took 3 people. And one of those 3 positions was an administrative assistant. And so we actually had a really great administrative assistant. Her name was Courtney. And maybe she was too great because she kept on asking for raises. And it was the 4th time in her first year of employment that she asked me for a raise. And while I had given to her the first 3 times, the 4th one, I was denying it, right? And so she decided that she needed to make more money. And I decided that I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. And so I reached out to my good buddy and fellow hybrid gym owner, Chad. And so I had told Chad the situation, and he laughed at me. And he asked me like a really like nonchalant, simple question. He's like, dude, why don't you just hire a VA for that? And I said, what is a VA? Now, at that point, I had heard other gym owners talking about VAs, but I just never quite understood the concept of even what a VA was or what they did, or like, I had no idea. And so after he shared his experience with VAs with me, he also provided me with a training course that he had bought. And I dove into the course. I didn't really have, much expectations to it. It was a relatively cheap course. And I dove in. 3 hours later, I was like, oh my gosh, what just happened to me? Like my life literally just changed. Like I came out of that course knowing so much, so many nuances, so many details. I was just like exposed to like a whole new world that I was like, how did I miss this for so freaking long? And it was literally how to find, hire, and retain a virtual assistant. And I was like, dude, this was so valuable. Like I just felt called to give money to Chad. And so I'm like, bro, like what's your Venmo? And I sent him $100. I was like, this is so good. I have to pay you for this. Like it is that good. And so 2 weeks later, I hired my first VA. His name was Angel. And so Angel was a great VA, but it was my second VA that I hired, Jaya, that was the game changer. And so over the past 3 years, I've hired over 10 virtual assistants. And honestly, many of those are still on our team today. And most importantly, including Jaya. And so Jaya is a rock star. She was initially hired for our fitness business. And now she actually runs our customer service department in our cleaning business. And she actually oversees 2 other virtual assistants. One is on here. Actually, I think both of them are on here right now. So like she's a rock star. She's an amazing human. And, the comment that was said to her in one of the daily huddles the other day was that like she acts like this is her business. And there's something so powerful about that. And that's the culture that I just like, I'm so grateful for. And that's really what we're looking for. And every individual we bring on the team is like, treat this like your business, because you know what? It is your business. Right. And I think when you can actually say that as a business owner, that you're actually able to give a piece of the business to somebody else, um, it's like, it's so much more satisfying than trying to think that you have to do everything yourself. And so hiring VAs have not only cut the costs in the business dramatically, but it's decreased turnover in those office roles. And honestly, it's improved the efficiency like 10 times. And so this system is so freaking good. And I'm super excited to share it with you guys. So just out of curiosity, who wants access to the system? Like, raise your hand, put it in the chat. Like, this system is so freaking good. Man, I'm excited to share this with you guys. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it. Yeah. Yeah, cool. So this actually should be in there. I don't know why the slide got deleted, but there will be a link in here for sure. That is the VA hiring course that I put together. And man, it's literally step by step, exactly what you need to do. So let's actually kind of walk through it here. So here's what the funnel looks like. You're going to use a site called Online Jobs PH. So this is the biggest network. It's the biggest, what I call pond, where people are looking for jobs. So inside Online Jobs PH, you can find virtual assistants. You can also find bookkeepers. You can find social media experts. You can find setters. You can find almost everything, right? And we do have we have a full-time bookkeeper who we found through Online Jobs. We also have a social media manager we found through Online Jobs PH. You can find personal assistants, virtual assistants. Like, there's so many different things. So that's the website that you use. And then once you get an account with Online Jobs PH, then what you'll need to do is you'll need to do a VA job description. So this job description, to be really clear, like, you're going to advertise for a virtual assistant, even if the position in your company you're looking for is a customer support person, or you're looking for a setter, or you're looking for like any other position that you want in your business, like, it's fine. But what you're going to advertise is a virtual assistant, because it has the biggest reach. And ultimately, all you're looking for, again, going back to our concept we talked about in paragraph number 1, is you're just looking for attitude. You're looking for somebody who's hungry. You're looking for somebody who fits your culture, but also wants full time. Somebody who's hungry, somebody who wants to work for an overseas company, someone who wants to work from home. And so you're going to advertise a virtual assistant job description. Okay. And so through that virtual job description, you're going to get a ton of applicants. Like, I usually have to turn this off after less than 24 hours. I usually get hundreds and hundreds of applications. And so I have a process that I use to be able to weed these people out, the people who are not good. And so unlike when you interview Americans, you can actually do a majority of the interviewing via email. And so I have a series of 10 questions that I ask people, all via email. And through those questions, I can get a really good idea of their skill sets. I get a good idea of their values and what they're looking for, and to see if this position even lines up for them. And if it works for us as well. And then if it does, then at that point, I will actually get on a Zoom call with them. Now, in the past, like, with the first probably 4 or 5 virtual assistants that I hired, I never even got on Zoom calls with them. I literally hired everybody just over email and over an offer letter. Now I like to get on calls with them, but you don't even have to. So it just depends on what you want to do. I do recommend now just getting on at least one Zoom call, so you can communicate with them. And again, if it's a position where they need to be able to talk and to communicate, you definitely need to hop on calls with them. But if they don't, if they're just behind the computer doing task-based stuff, they don't need to be on camera. They don't need to talk. They don't need to speak fluent English. Like, there's no reason to even get on a Zoom call outside if you just want to build a culture with them, right? And build a relationship with them. But that usually takes time. So after you decide that you want to hire them, then you send them an offer letter, right? And this offer letter is really, really good. And again, it's just sets clear expectations of what the position is, what the company, like what your company is, who they report to, the role of the position, the responsibilities. Again, it's like a similar version of the 4 R's, but it goes into a little more detail. And it talks about having paid time off. It talks about their holidays. So in the Philippines, they have different holidays to celebrate. And so again, this is on you to understand that. And basically what we do is we just give them all those days off, right? Talk about hours. You got to understand there's a big time difference between their hours and our hours. They're a day ahead of us most of the time. How much money you're going to pay them, when you're going to pay them. Again, like having really clear expectations for somebody who does live thousands of miles away, who also doesn't speak English as their first tongue, is super important. Okay, that's why this offer letter is so good. And we have a VA duties doc list, which is basically our SOPs that we have just for our virtual assistants. And again, it is super concise, to the point, and it's spelled out as clearly as possible because it has to be, right? In order for you to be able to manage an employee who again, is far away, has got a different language than you do as their first language, like you must be a really clear communicator. And so ironically enough, the business owners who get frustrated with virtual assistants is because it's their lack of communication skills that frustrates them and leaves them wondering why that they can't get virtual assistants to stick. I promise you, it's not them, it is you. How to pay them. So I show you exactly how to pay them. And we use a service called Remitly. And the reason why we use Remitly is because it is for free for both us and for the virtual assistant. So there is no fees, there's no exchange fees, as long as you're using a bank account. And have never found another service out there that is free. So that's why we do it, because it allows us to pay the virtual assistant as much as we possibly can, which keeps them happy as well. And again, just really setting expectations. It's not just setting expectations when you hire them, but it's continuing to set expectations throughout the process. And that can be said for VAs, but also can be said for any sort of staff member, any sort of employees, that the more frequent you can set expectations, the happier your relationship is going to be. And so always communicating expectations. And if something is not right, confront it. Do it in a way that is productive, not finger pointing. And I promise you, your relationship with not just your virtual assistant, but any staff member will be so much better. Okay, now who wants access to the step-by-step process to hire a loyal VA for your business? Right, here it is right here. So this is the course. So again, inside your slides, inside your membership area, you get access to this. It literally walks you through that whole process. It is gold. It is gold. So I appreciate you guys, and make sure you go get that DI hiring course. Okay. All right, let's get into framework number 3. Again, if you guys do have questions, make sure you guys use the chat. Katie is in here right now. Rhea is in here. She's one of our virtual assistants, been with us for almost a year now. And so again, you guys do have any questions specifically about virtual assistants or about any of this process, like blow that chat up. Okay, let's talk about framework number 3. So this one's really good, right? This is an advanced, I won't say it's an advanced concept, but this is like when you're ready to scale your business. This is how you take a business to the next level, and that's stacking your bench. So you never have to work in your business ever again. All right, so this is about 7 months ago. Katie and I arrived in Vegas. It was a day early for a cleaning business event. And our early arrival, it wasn't a gamble, wasn't a drink, wasn't a party. In fact, Katie and I both, we gave up those things by 2018. So not something that we do anymore. But it was the arrival to have dinner with our favorite Vegas couple, which was Alex and Layla. So they make another reinterest into the story. And we had dinner at this nice little quiet Persian restaurant. We had some chicken kebabs, pita bread with Ezekiel sauce. Oh my gosh, it was so good. So good. But what was even better was the advice that we got from Layla that really ended up transforming our cleaning business. And while it was simple, it was just what we needed to hear in that moment. And so she started asking us questions about our cleaning business. And we shared what we thought we were doing well. And she pointed out really clearly what our biggest weakness was. And she told us that we struggled to consistently acquire and train and keep cleaning technicians. So we had enough work. It was just a matter of we didn't have enough staff to actually fulfill on that work. So her advice, again, was simple yet profound. She said, hire a full-time recruiter to head your recruiting funnel. And we both looked at each other like, we don't have either of those things. And so I was like, what the hell is a recruiter, right? And she was like, it's like having a salesperson, but for your cleaners. And I was like, oh, interesting, right? And so we were always been really good at acquiring customers. And so we said, having a recruiting funnel is like the same thing, but for your staff members. Oh, interesting. And then Alex, he chimed in with his, his normal deep, wise self. And he said, dude, you guys have this marketing funnel that's unstoppable. You guys put a recruiting funnel on there. Like, why can't you have a $5 million figure cleaning business? And Katie and I kind of looked at each other like, I don't know. I never even thought about that. And so it was kind of at that moment, like, okay, like they saw this. It's like, now can we see it as well? And so this was kind of one of those moments that, that was like that was even before the cleaning business event started. That was the very first of our trip. We were there for 3 or 4 days later. And so we kind of let that conversation set in. We kind of, we absorbed, we we took in the emotion, and then on our way home, Katie at the time honestly wasn't working very much in the cleaning business. She was only working probably, 5-6 hours a week in the cleaning business. She had got herself out of doing any sort of operations for the most part. And she made the decision to step back in and become the recruiter to create this role. Right. And I was like, man, like this human being, this is why I appreciate you. This is why I love you. It's not why I love you, but it's why I appreciate you, just because you see the bigger picture. You're willing to sacrifice in the short term to create an asset that is going to bless our lives and bless this company's life for a very long time. And so she did it. She stepped back up. She became a recruiter. She created SOPs for the position, and the SOPs of the recruiter would be in charge of this recruiting funnel. So essentially what we were able to do is we turned our business into a Major League Baseball team. And so what I mean by that is that we literally created a farm system of cleaners. And so as we speak right now, I think we have like 8 or 9 cleaners on our team, and we have a bench of cleaners who we have hired of about 6 or 7 cleaners. So we have our first string, and we have our second string on board, ready to take over for if any of the cleaners on the first string, they fall short, or if they quit unexpectedly, or if they start calling out, or whatever it may be. They're just like, we have the replacement on deck ready to rock and roll. So if a cleaner does quit, like, okay, cool, we'll just put the next one in. And so that was like that advice, again, while simple, very profound. And so Alex and Layla ended up paying for dinner that night. After that, we ended up going to Froyo, and we paid for Froyo, but we ended up getting paid $25,000 a month from that conversation. Because when we had dinner with them, we were doing about $45,000 a month in revenue. And the last 2 months, we've done over $70,000 per month, just all from that little piece of advice. So, and as a really cool bonus, that every time we bring on somebody new, our culture keeps getting better because we get clearer on who we're bringing on. And so we're able to clearly communicate our expectations, communicate our values, and our tolerance keeps going up, not down. And so each person comes on, they get better and better and better. So that's also another really cool improvement of just having more people coming through your business. So I'm actually going to walk you guys through this $1 million cleaning company recruiting funnel, if you guys want to see it anyway. You guys want to see it? You guys want to see this funnel? Yeah. Again, this is the same funnel that Alex and Layla used to grow their $30 million cleaning company. And we were very fortunate to be able to use it for our soon to be $1 million cleaning company. So, okay, you guys ready? Indeed. So you guys can use ZipRecruiter, you can use Craigslist. We recommend using Indeed. It's just where we're getting the most eyeballs. Okay. So that's where we place our ads for new cleaners, but we also do use this for sales. We use this for every position, but Indeed is the platform that we like. And so very much like you have a ad copy or a description for advertising when you're marketing, you also need an ad. You need a really, I don't want to say a salesy job description, but something that is interesting and intriguing when it comes to your ad for your cleaners. And man, we have a really good ad. And what makes a really good ad is that it speaks to the job applicant more than it talks about the business, right? And this is if you go to any Indeed post, you'll see a lot of times it's like, hey, here's what we're looking for. We're looking for this, this, and this, and they're very dry. The fact that they're to the point is fine, but they're boring. Nothing separates them. Our ad, when you see it, is like we're speaking to them and we're talking to them as a person, and then we're showing them our core values right away, right? Then we're talking about the job. We're doing it as a way to like how they benefit from it. We also have this, you can see at the very top, we have a really cool irresistible offer, right? $1,000 signing bonus. And so inside here basically shows them how they can get $1,000 signing bonus. And we actually have fulfilled on that. So again, it's a really good offer for somebody. It's like, hey, I have to get $1,000 bonus. And then we basically just line up as exactly what we're looking for in a person. So we can put them in a position where they actually can effectively get the signing bonus, which is pretty cool. After they have applied for the position through Indeed, then we actually will take them off Indeed so we can put them into our funnel. We can trigger all of our automations and we can get them into our system. And so we'll put them through a WooFoo application form, which an application form asks them questions, like the standard question that we need to know, but most importantly, it puts them in our system. It creates a lead from there. And then so once they go through there, we have them qualified. Again, that we have certain minimum requirements that we ask on the application. As long as they meet them, then we actually schedule an interview with our recruiter. Okay, and that interview is scheduled for about 30 minutes. And after that Zoom interview, then the recruiter actually schedules a call with them right after that call for the next day or the day after, as a way to put them on the schedule to say, hey, like either way, you're gonna get a phone call to let you know whether you got the position or whether you didn't get the position. And so that way, like it clearly communicates to the job applicant, like, hey, we have a timeline. Here is our timeline. And a lot of applicants really appreciate that, because it's like, if you guys have ever applied for a job before, then you know that it sucks just sitting there waiting. Like, I wonder if this person's going to call me, or when are they going to call me, or when am I going to get the job? And so we set really clear boundaries, and we actually just set the call up. And again, whether we hire them or not, we set up that phone call with them. And then if they accept, then we go through the onboarding process, right? And so I'm going to show you, I showed you the onboarding process, like really nailed down from a cleaner standpoint earlier, but now I'm going to show you the onboarding process more from an overview of how it works in respects to the whole cleaning funnel in itself. Okay. And so once they get access to the basic training, the speed cleaning, they will fill all that stuff out on their own. And we actually have a basic training for not only just the client, or excuse me, for the new cleaner who comes on, but also for our trainer who's going to train this new client, right? So both sides are covered. Okay, so you can see here, we have a cleaning tech basic training, we have a speed cleaning train the cleaner, and then a speed cleaning train the trainer, right? So it's pretty cool that it shows both sides of the equation of how to do everything. We also have trainer SOPs. So our SOPs for our trainers, like when you become a trainer, you have clear SOPs as well. You know exactly what's expected of you and what you're trying to communicate, or what you're communicating, and how you're training these new cleaners who come into the field. Okay. And the trainers, when they're training these new cleaners, they have a report they fill out every single day that goes over how the new trainee is doing. And again, there's a series of questions that basically just allows us back in the office to say, okay, this person is working out, they're doing good, or like, okay, this person's already showing some red flags, because ultimately it costs us a lot of money to actually hire a new cleaner, not just from the ad spend that we spend on Indeed, but also like, because these new cleaning techs, like they don't provide any revenue right away, but they're still getting paid for that time. Okay. And so we did the math somewhere. I think it costs us like $300 or $400 extra to actually bring on a new cleaner. So like, it's not cheap, right? And so we want to make sure that if it's not going to work out, then we know right away. And so the trainer fills out a report every single day outlining how the new staff member is doing. And so if we start to see red flags, we can cut it short, or it just gives us hope that this person's actually going to make it. Okay. And we actually can start stacking their schedule for the next week. And then every single week, the recruiter actually does a scorecard for each of our cleaners. And so this scorecard is something that is super valuable, and it allows our cleaners to know exactly like where they rate and how they stand as far as how like where they are on the line of like getting priority when it comes to cleans. So we don't actually guarantee our cleaners a certain amount of hours. We just say that, hey, we are going to put the people who are the best cleaners, who are the highest rated cleaners, we're going to make sure that their schedule gets stacked first. And then from there on, basically it's like a pecking order, right? So it's very much like a sports team. It's very much like an earn your way up the ladder kind of deal. And so how they get rated is based on 5 things. Okay. They get rated based on if they're full-time or not. So 28 plus hours, and that's actually performed. Not if they just say if they say they're full-time. So if they do more than 28 hours every single week, then they become full-time and they get a +1 for that. Attendance, if they don't call out, if they show up to all their cleans, they make it without any problems, any issues. If they do request time off, it must be at least 7 days in advance. And if they do all that, then they get a +1 for the week. So this is done every single week. If they have no client complaints, they don't have to go back or do any correction cleans. Then at that point, they get a +1. And again, if they have a client complaint or they have to go back and they have to do a correction claim, they would get doctor point. Teamwork. So teamwork is if somebody does get sick or somebody calls out or someone needs help, like who's out there trying to help the team out? Who's out there taking weekend cleans, for examples? Who's out there just showing that they're a team player? And so when they're able to show those things, they get a plus. They get a point for that, and then communication. So anytime that they are communicated with from any of the managers or inside the group thread that they're being asked a specific question, when they communicate, they get a point for that. So every single week, our recruiter is basically sending this to them, so they know how they stand every single week. And if you're a 5 out of 5 every single week, well, you can guess that your schedule is always going to be packed. But if you're constantly getting 2s or 3s because you're calling out all the time or you're getting client complaints, then you get dropped down the priority list, and maybe you want to work 30, 34 hours a week, but you're only getting 20 or 25 hours a week because we're giving cleans to a cleaner who is actually performing better. So the scorecard is super valuable. And we also have a leaderboard as well. So this leaderboard, it shows them where they're at during the week. And so again, like our goal is for all of our cleaners to be in that tier 1. So tier 1, or excuse me, in the tier 3. And so tier 3, they get paid the most, which our goal is to how do we provide the highest income for our cleaners? Because the more money they make for themselves, the more money the company makes as well. Like it becomes a true win-win situation. And so they actually get paid quite a bit more to be in tier 3 versus tier 2 versus tier 1. And so our goal is to show them after each day where they're at, so they can kind of see where they're at to make sure that they can get to their 34 hours a week. So if there is weekend cleans available, again, like we don't require weekend cleans, we actually offer them based on like the highest tier. We say, hey, do you want short-term rental cleans on the weekends? And then if they take them over, the highest rated cleaners get the first dibs at it to make sure that they get within their different tiers that they're looking for. So the leaderboard is something that gets done every single day as well. These new and existing technicians, and honestly, everybody on our team gets one-on-ones, right? So they get one-on-ones with Katie, and these one-on-ones have a framework to them, right? Like there's a framework to these one-on-ones. They're not just like, hey, like let's just shoot the shit. Like there's a framework to it. There's a reason why we do it, and it becomes really fun when it doesn't become just a BS session, but it's like there's a reason why we're doing it, and really it's for 2 big reasons. It's to keep the cleaners reminding them what their goals are. We ask them like, okay, now you've been with us for a month, you've been with us for a year, you've been with us for 6 months. Like, what are your goals now? Just continuing to have them talk about their goals and to feel like they're supported, and to ensure that like the position that they're in right now, it's helping them fulfill their goals, or it's helping them in a stepping stone to get to their goals. Okay. So that's the value of doing the one-on-ones. These happen at least once a month with each of the cleaning techs. With our sales and our customer support people, it happens a lot more. Team meetings. So we have a framework for team meetings as well. And yeah, those team meetings are really valuable because we share anything new that we're talking about, whether it's any sort of advertising or marketing or any sort of new changes when it comes to the structure of the business. Like that's where it first gets announced, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to people individually. We also talk about growth opportunities on those team meetings as well. So we talk about different open positions. We'll say, hey, like if you guys know anybody who is looking for cleaners, like we're always looking for awesome cleaners like you guys. If any of you guys are looking to grow, we have training positions available for you to train other people. You get paid more for training other cleaning techs. There's positions like depositing checks. There's positions for restocking supplies. There's sales positions. There's manager positions. And so we basically just use those opportunities to like share the growth opportunities to let everybody know on the team that, hey, like we want you guys to grow. Like we prefer to grow from within, and we want to give you guys the first dibs on it, because ultimately people love momentum. And so when you give people opportunity to continue to grow with you and to move up the ladder, they stay excited as well, because again, you're able to share what you're building with them. So who wants access to this $30 million funnel? Again, all these things that I learned from working with Alex and Layla inside their company are all things that I'm sharing with you guys tonight. And man, like this funnel is just, it's so good. It's so good. So if you guys want access to the cleaners ad, you guys want access to like how we do the $1,000 bonus, to the application form, to the interview script, to the trainer SOP, to the trainer's report, to the scorecards, leaderboard, all of that is going to be inside here. So if you guys are excited about that, let me know. Got that chat popped open. So like this stuff it's so good. Again, it just helps you guys skip the line. And that's really what I'm trying to do is help you guys skip the line on a lot of this stuff. But and then it gives you the attention for you to focus on, like, you're going to have problems. You're going to have things that come up. Like your businesses are ultimately going to be different. There's going to be different challenges, different situations. But when you have a good foundation of it set up, you don't have to think about it. It gives you more attention, gives you more bandwidth to take care of the newer problems you're going to have. Because business has problems. Like that is like, those are facts. That's why you get paid, is because you have a problem that you solve, and the better you solve it, the higher you get paid for it. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. Like just armed with this information, like just in here, like how many of you guys think you guys actually could build $1 million cleaning business? Right? How many of you guys think you guys could do it? Like for real, just armed with just this funnel. You guys see how this can happen? Are you guys catching the vision here? Yeah. I'm telling you what, dude, like if you guys can do it, I can do it. Like for real. Like I'm not special. I showed you guys earlier, like I'm in front of the classroom right now. I'm just teaching. I've been in the class just a couple more years longer than you have, right? And so again, if I can do it, you can do it. Who's excited right now? Who's excited about this? They're like, I want to dive in. I want to get access to this. I want to hire my first employee. I want to hire my 10th employee. Like, who's excited about this? Yeah. Come on, get excited. Anybody feeling a little bit overwhelmed as well? Like, yeah, it's a lot of stuff as well. Excited and overwhelmed. They kind of go hand in hand. So, yeah. So, hey, if you guys are excited, just understand that this is week 4. We have 4 more weeks of this. So there's so much more good stuff to come. Again, there's the previous 4 weeks. Go back through the cleaning vault mentorship, or excuse me, the membership site, and everything is in there. And if you guys are looking for additional support, then like listen up, like this is for you. And I see a couple of you guys on here who've already taken advantage of this, but like decade a day, maybe this is the first time you're hearing this, maybe it's not, but like I was telling this to somebody the other day, I was like, decade a day, I created it is a way that of something that I would have wanted. If I were sitting in this masterclass, if I was starting back at scratch, or I had already had a business and I want to take it to the next level, like decade a day is what I would have wanted, right? And so basically it's just me taking 10 years of business experience, and I'm just like condensing it into one day. And so it's intense, right? It's not like, it is intense. It is intense. But it's worth it, right? And so what decade a day is, it's you getting clarity first and foremost, right? It's getting clarity on what are your goals for your business? Do you want to be $1 million business? Do you want to be $50,000 a month business? Do you want to be a $2, $3, $4, $5 million business? Like, what are your freaking goals? And then how much profit do you want to make from that, right? How many clients do you want to serve? How many cleaners do you want to have on your team? Like when you get clear on what the model looks like, all of a sudden it just becomes, okay, let's take steps in the right direction. With decade a day, you're going to create a business that stands for something. You're going to figure out what your origin story is. You're going to figure out what your mission is. You're going to understand why your business exists. Okay. You understand your core values. You're going to be able to communicate those to not only just yourself, but to your staff members and to your clients, right? Because the more clearly you can communicate them, the easier it is for everybody else to understand what they are and then to fall in line as well. Second day, you're going to have your automated marketing funnel. Okay. So we don't have a business if we don't have any clients. And so you don't have any clients unless you have any sales. You don't have any sales unless you actually have a funnel that brings people in. And unless you want to go knocking on doors and putting out flyers and just doing the hope and pray marketing strategy most people do, like get an actual legit automated marketing funnel that produces predictable results. Okay. So you're going to get access to your not access to it. You're gonna have it done. It's ready to rock and roll. Automated marketing funnel. This is something new. You also have your online booking form. So this is something that we've been testing in our business, and it works really, really well. So people actually will book online instantly. It's really, really cool. Your Facebook funnel and your Google ads as well, right? All this stuff is gonna be done during Decade in a Day. You also have your customized sales process, okay? And so the sales process will be customized to you, to your prices, to your business. And like, again, everything needs to be catered toward what you are selling. Okay. So that means your scripts, that means your access to your onboarding of your salespeople. So again, in the beginning, you might do it, but eventually you want to have training. So things like growth blocks and recordings and operating procedures that you can actually share with other people on your team. And this is something new I added too, is the call reviews. So I'm actually doing call reviews for my team. And so you guys will get access to those call reviews as well, which is pretty dank. We talked about earlier, right? You can get all the hiring ads we talked about today, all the interview scripts, onboarding process. You guys already have access to most of the stuff, but you also get access to the recorded interviews. Okay. So the recorded interviews is really, really cool. And on top of this, I'm also doing call reviews on interviews as well. So you guys will get access as part of the Decade in a Day as well, which is pretty cool. And then yes, you get the frameworks. You get the frameworks for the daily huddles, right? You get the frameworks for the weekly meetings. You get the frameworks for the monthly team meetings. You get frameworks for the one-on-ones. And when you go into a meeting and you know exactly what the framework is, you're like, oh, this is pretty simple. This is easy. Okay. Also, man, there's more. There's so much stuff in here. You'll get your business intelligence sheet. So on this business intelligence sheet, it's going to show you what numbers to track. It's going to teach you how to track them. It's also going to teach you how to analyze it. So you have data that you see at the end of the month. You're like, okay, here's what we need to work on, right? And so when you're able to look at your business and based on numbers, you're able to make decisions. Holy moly! It feels like you have the Midas touch, like you have the cheat codes. And so, of course, Decade in a Day, like it is an investment, right? Like it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, but honestly, the investment is more for you than it is for anybody, right? Because once you make the commitment to do it, once you make the decision that this is something that you're going to do, that you're going to commit to, that you commit not only with your time, but you also commit with your dollars. Oh my gosh, it becomes transformative. And I've had many opportunities in my life where I was presented this opportunity where I got to push the chips to the center of the table. I got to go all in, and every single time it's just completely transformed my life. And I'm super grateful for every opportunity. So that's what this is. This is your opportunity. And I've said this before, like that in a day, it's $10,000, right? And this is currently open to 5 people. And let me ask you a question here. Like, do you think that with all the information you have just from this training, not anything about all the previous trainings, but just in this training, do you think you can make an additional $10,000 just from this training? Like actually think about that. Like, close your eyes and ask yourself that question. Like, do you think you can make an extra $10,000 just from this training? Right? Okay. Well, maybe you can't even see. Maybe you can't see $10,000. But like, what if you just did half that? What if you just did half that? Do you think you can make at least $5,000 a month from just this training? Okay. Or let's just say again, like maybe that's still a little bit far out. You think you can make an extra $2,500 a month again from a $30 million cleaning funnel? You think you can make an extra $2,500 a month? Think about that, right? And so here is a really cool offer for those first 5 people, right? And again, a couple of people in here have already taken this offer, so there's not even 5 spots left anymore. There's 50% discount on this program. Okay, once the 5 people have filled it up, this offer will no longer be good. It will be void. Okay, so the first 5 people are going to get it for $5,000. After that, it will go to the full price. So get in for the first 5 people. You get a pretty cool little discount, and as a really cool guarantee as well. Again, if you do not make your money back, if you don't make at least $5,000 in profit within the first 6 months, I will literally write you a check in full for the $5,000. Like, that's how much I know that this thing is going to work. Yeah, just put your money where your mouth is, right? I'm a huge believer in that. So, and as a cool bonus, your lodging is free and your food is free as well. And so I'm going to treat you guys to some really fun dinners. You have a nice place to rest your head at night, and we're gonna not only are you going to leave with a business that is set up for you to do $1 million a year, but you're going to have an experience. And so if you're looking for not only just to create a business, but you're looking for an experience, and you're looking to maybe have a similar bond and connection, and maybe a story that I have with Alex, after 6 or 7 years, like maybe that's what I'm looking for as well. Maybe I'm looking for an experience too. So again, just if you guys are interested, you guys can apply right here. It'll be into the slides. If Rhea, if you want to drop the link inside the chat as well, that'd be amazing. Again, a couple of you already on here have applied and are locked in. We have people who locked in already. So we have dates locked in. Our first one is coming up here soon by the end of the month. And man, just super grateful. So again, if you're interested in getting more attention, you're looking for an experience, you're looking to go faster, Back in a Day is definitely for you. And you know what, if it's not up your alley, like stay in here, continue to soak in as much information as possibly can, ask questions, be a sponge. And you know, if it's not your time right now, it's totally cool too. Again, go at your own pace, right? And so I try to give people an opportunity that if they want to go faster, they can go faster, they can get the experience, they can have some fun. So happy Thursday, guys. Oh, let's do some Q&A. So that's the end of the presentation. Curious, did you guys get any value from this? Was this cool? I don't even know. Sometimes I put these together and I'm not even sure if these are valuable for people, but hopefully you guys got some value from it. Okay, I see you guys now. You're back in my screens. Katie, how's the chat been? Yes, it is recorded. It is recorded. Okay, so I'm going to go through some questions here. I'm going to scroll back up, and Melvin, if you have a question, just go ahead and drop it in the chat here, my dude. And I see a couple questions in here. I'm going to start answering some questions. But again, if you guys got what you needed tonight, super grateful for being on here. Oh, wait, don't go yet. Don't go yet. So Alex's new book is coming out. I promised as a special bonus to be on the Zoom. I don't know if anybody even saw that. I was going to buy Alex's new book to three people who are on the Zoom. So if you want Alex's new book, put in the chat right now if you want it. And I'm gonna have Katie maybe draw a name. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do it tonight. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. What should we do, Katie? Should we do it? Should we pick somebody tonight, or should we do it later? Or let's see how many people even want it. Does anybody know who Alex is? Is Alex just this stranger, or do people know who he is now? All right, so three people want his new book, right? So again, like this isn't out yet. I don't even know the date, so I wish I had inside information. I saw that him and Dr. Kashi, who's the one who's helping him write the book, I saw that they had been working on it really hard. Dr. Kashi flew out to Vegas to hang out with Alex to try to like move that book along. But I do not know when it's going to come out, so I can't tell you. I do not know anything. But when it comes out, I'm going to buy this for 3 people. Okay. So Katie, if you want to hop on here, what do you think? What do you think we should do? You think we should pick somebody? What should we do here? How should we pick somebody? That's maybe that's a better question here.
I think you should have like a trivial question, and the person who answers it fastest and right gets a book.
Okay, I'll do this. Okay, this is easy. So first 2 people who can name my gym, what it was called, get the book. You got to drop it in this chat. First 2 people who can be resourceful enough to figure out what my gym was called, drop in the chat, and you will get access to the book. Great, Katie. That's awesome. So while you guys are figuring that out and you're distracted, you're scouring the internet for my gym. Katie, you watch the chat for that. I'm gonna go back up here. I see some questions. So, and if nobody can figure it out, by golly, we'll have to do it.
They got it. Oh. It's here.
We got it ready?
Yeah, one. Somebody can just copy and paste it.
Yeah, someone's just like, okay, I'm faster for coffee. Oh, no, still open.
Brian and Alex are winners.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Jamin came through. Amazing. Amazing.
Brian, Alex, and Jamin.
Love it. Okay. Cool. Do you guys who commented down there, do you guys actually have the $100 million offers book too? If you guys don't have it, I'll buy that book for you guys as well. So if you guys don't have it, let me know and I'll buy that book for you so you guys can get that one ASAP. That way you can read them as a pair. Okay, I'm gonna come up here, see any questions. Katie, I don't know if there was any big questions up front, but I'm just gonna kind of scroll up here just a little bit, and I saw a couple questions here. Yes, this is, oh yeah, Katie's got it. Okay, so Nicole has a question here. How do you get the second string on board to stay on the bench while waiting to put on the first string? Aha, this is the question. What is the incentive for them? So staying on the bench is more of an expression rather than it is a reality. So Katie could probably answer this question better because she's the one who is currently in that recruiting role. So I'll start, and then Katie, you come back behind and you kind of clear up, make it more clean. But so we have our marketing funnel, right? And how you stack the bench is you have to be really confident in your marketing funnel that you can basically like push it harder and add and spend more money and be able to create more demand. Okay. When you're able to do that, then it's not about necessarily like the goal isn't necessarily to replace people, but it's actually to grow. But in return, in growing, like you're going to lose people. Like that is actually part of the business. Like that is to be expected. So when somebody does fall off, you have someone right behind them who is who's going to fill their position because they have cleans on the schedule for maybe the next month. But if they quit or they fall off the wagon, then you have somebody behind them who can fill those cleans. So all of our cleaners, they don't have a specific clients. Now, the ones who've been with us for the longest time, like they maybe have a specific route that they go on, or they have cleaners or clients that they do consistently. But again, if they call in sick or they're out for the day, like we don't cancel the client. We just put a new cleaner in there. So you really have to be confident in your ability to acquire new customers in order to stack the bench. So that's why the funnels work together. I said this last week, but I'll say it again. It's like, think about you steering the Titanic. Okay. And in between the Titanic, you have two icebergs. Okay. You have an iceberg on this side, and you have an iceberg on this side, and the Titanic right in the middle. These two icebergs are your marketing funnel, and you have your recruiting funnel. And so as you start to steer over here, like, okay, like our recruiting funnel, like we have way too many clients. We have way too many clients. You need to have the recruiting funnel start to like push back and say, okay, I need to get more cleaners and get more cleaners. And all of a sudden you have too many cleaners. You're like, okay, I need to put more money into marketing. I need to get more cleans. And so that's why like these two funnels work together. And so when I say stack the bench, it's a matter of like, you just always have it going. And ultimately what ends up happening is that the people who are the weakest, like who can't handle it, who don't understand how to be a team player, and who only worry about themselves, and who are like, I'm so concerned about, I need to get 34 hours, I need to get 40 hours, otherwise that I'm going to be not part of this team, like they fall off, right? And so some of these people who are on the bench, like they will fall off. If that's actually the question, maybe that's the clearest point, Nicole, is that people who are on the bench, not all of them are going to make it. Like it's just like they're coming to the big leagues. Like there's so many people who play professional baseball that never make it to the majors. They get stuck in the minor leagues, and that's just kind of part of the process. And that's the expectation that we set, is like, you might not make it to the majors, right? So, Katie, anything that you'd like to add to that?
It's definitely setting the expectation up front. So everybody that we onboard as quickly as we can. We don't actually have people sit and have to wait a month to actually be onboarded. We onboard them, and then through the scorecard process, like the elite come to the top, and we continue to stack their schedule, and everybody else gets what we have available. As our team gets bigger, what we have available obviously grows because we go recruit clients at that point. But we're constantly, it is a very high churn business. So you are constantly going to have the bottom 2 or 3 people in that bench fall off. So you always want to be replacing them. And the moment that
high churn on the cleaner acquisition, but not as high churn on the client acquisition.
Correct.
Which is pretty cool.
Clients stick, cleaners jet. But you also have the advantage with the scorecard system of stacking the people who are A players. So you prioritize A players very honestly, very directly, and it's communicated with the entire team. You're an A player.
Yeah.
And
Katie, from like a real life example, like if you like for instance, you were telling me today, like you hired 2 people today, right? Or 1 person today.
1, yeah.
And when are they onboarding? Like when is it like what is their process, for just like as one example?
In 2 weeks. Yeah.
So not everyone like gets onboarded like right away. Sometimes people have start dates that are 2 or 3 weeks out. Yes. And again, when they get onboarded, they do a week where they're actually shadowing the trainer. So like they don't have any cleans themselves. So they basically have like 2 weeks before they get to the first clean, and then a whole week of onboarding before they actually have like their own schedule. And one thing that we set the expectation to when they do come on their own is that we say, hey, like we want to start you out at about, probably best case 20 hours a week, because we don't want you to get burnt out. Like it's like cleaning is a laborious job, right? It's intense. And so we don't want to burn you out on week one. So we actually set the expectation from a standpoint of like, you're not going to get as many hours the very first week. We want to build you into this because we want you to be here long-term. And for the people who are long-term minded, they're growth minded, and their team players, like they'll buy in, and the people who won't, then they won't make it. So it's cool, dude. It's so fun. That's so fun. Okay. Melvin, preference on W2 versus 1099. You know, I've answered this question quite a few times. So again, I want to answer it. And then Katie, I want you to answer it from your point of view. But we've done both of these in both the fitness business and both in the cleaning business as well. And so there's pros and cons, right? So I'll give you pros list of 1099. Pros of 1099 is that you can pay them more, right? Because you don't have to pay their Medicare, you don't have to pay their Social Security, you don't have to pay their taxes, their state and federal. Okay, they become responsible for that. So you actually can pay them more money. That's one big pro of doing 1099. Another big pro is that you don't have to have unemployment insurance. You also don't, like all the taxes they get paid, right? One of the cons of being 1099 is that you don't have control. You technically don't have control of their schedule, right? They can go work for other people. Their attention is not all yours. And so I would say that is probably like the biggest con of 1099. And most people, they like to hire 1099s for all the positive reasons, but they want to control them like they're a W-2 employee. And that actually is very illegal. And not so much illegal from the standpoint of that if the state determines that you classified them wrong, they can go back for you for back taxes. All of them. And so that could be a nice little hefty bill you got to pay that you weren't expecting. So that is one of the biggest cons of have 1099. W2 pros of W2 is that you have control. Most people will prefer W2 because as the employee coming in, it's less work for them. That's what they're most used to doing. They're used to doing the W4 forms, W2 forms, having money taken out of their paycheck, having direct deposit. Like they're used to that process. Okay. Again, and then you can dictate their schedule legally. A con to W2 is just that you cannot pay them maybe as much as you could pay a 1099 contractor, because you do have to pay for their Medicare and their Social Security and their taxes. You do also have to carry unemployment insurance as well, which is a whole nother cost. You do have to have legit payrolls. Maybe you have like a payroll company that you have to use as well, which is another cost. And then
Work comp.
Yeah. Yep. And workman's comp as well. So there's definitely more expenses involved when you have a W-2 employee. Another con, if you don't know how to manage W-2 employees, then that would be another con too, is that you don't know, you have to manage them. So those would be the cons. Now, the reason that we choose W-2 is because we're playing we're building a business. This is not this is something that we want to have around forever. We don't want to be put out of business because we made a silly scarcity minded mistake that we didn't pay someone's taxes and now we had to go out of business. And by the way, even if you go out of business, you still have to pay those taxes. They go to you personally. You don't get to bankrupt on taxes. You always got to pay those. So even if you want to play that game, it's not a game you want to play. And so you also just sleep well at night, and it allows you to have a more consistent business, because I promise you, when you try to turn someone who's a W-2 employee into a 1099, it becomes much harder, and the system is much more rougher. And you're actually going to lose out on really good candidates who are just I just want to be a W-2 employee. I don't have to worry about my own taxes. I don't want to I don't know anything about that. I don't care if I make more money. I just want it's simple, right? I just want to make a certain amount of money. And so it's your job as a business to just do the numbers. When you're doing your numbers, account for all those other expenses, right? And so yes, we do have to pay maybe less than we could pay a 1099 contractor, but you know what we do is we actually just pass that cost on to the client. We just get better at sales. We just get better at knowing what our numbers are. That way it doesn't actually affect them and doesn't affect us. We pass it on, right? And that's the cost of doing business. So my preference is always W-2 for employees, because that's just the way I like to run a legit business. Okay. Katie, any thoughts for you?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add is a 1099, you can't have them sign a non-compete because legally they have to be working for multiple businesses. And we do not want that.
Yeah. Awesome. And just as another piggyback on that, we have people sign non-compete just as a way to show the awareness, but I think in the little over 2 years we've been doing this, I think we maybe have lost less than like 10 clients to trainers or to clients who have left. Right. And some of those clients aren't coming back. So it's just not something that is really a concern. So
Profit margins is the next question.
profit margins. Yeah. Like what are the profit margins you're looking for? Again, it just depends on how much you work in the business. So we look at a fully scaled out business that you're not part of operations, which means that you have at the top layer, you have your general manager, and then the general manager is in charge of the sales manager, which is in charge of the customer service manager, which is in charge of the recruiter. Okay. So that's like the tier under the general manager. And then under those ones, you have your salespeople, you have your technicians, you have your sales trainers, all that stuff. But on a fully developed non-drug cleaning business, our profit margins that we have in there are 25%, right? So that's net profit margins. So when you're working in the business, you obviously can have higher margins than that, but that's what you should be working towards, is that when you have your business completely outsourced outside of operations, where you're the general manager, where you're doing meetings with your direct reports or those managers, you're aiming for 25%. Right. And how you do that is it all starts with what you charge on cleaning and what you're paying the cleaner, because that's your biggest expense. Like our cleaners are over 50% of our expenses. Okay. And so it really starts with that. And then from there, the goal is to try to keep as many of the costs down as you possibly can, whether it comes from like software costs or I'm trying to think what other big costs that we have. Those are really kind of the big costs, like employment, software, supplies. Yeah. So 25%. Katie, anything else you want to add to that?
No, it's good. 55% is usually what we're all in with work comp, payroll taxes, and compensation for the employees.
Yep. Amazing. Okay. Brian Neal's looking, he's got the Amazon cart waiting to order. Well, be patient, my friend, be patient. All right. What should we expect to spend when posting positions on Indeed? Or what should we expect to spend? So this is something that Indeed has changed within the last like 4 or 5 months. Is they used to just charge you very similar to how Facebook does, is that they would charge you like a daily rate and you would get, applications, and you would just pay like your daily fee to show it to so many eyeballs. And now the way they have it set up is you pay per application based on job type and job description. And so, for instance, our resident cleaner, when they very first started rolling this out, we were paying, I don't even quite remember what it was, like $30 an application. And then we started paying $60 an application. I remember one of the last times we were paying $90 an application. And then we did the ad again, and then we were paying less. We paid like $80 some an application. So again, it depends on, I think it depends a little bit on how much they're charging for applications. It depends on how many people you're hiring. But we spend, Katie, what do we spend? Like a little less than $1,000 a week on Indeed. Yeah. So probably like
it's quite a bit less than that. I'd say it's probably $500 a week.
$500 a week. Yeah. So let's just say you spend $2,000 a month on Indeed ads, right? And that's just for advertising. But the cool thing, if you're efficient, and so this is where we're like we have systems in place to be somewhat efficient, but we're not maximizing it right now. Like that's our goal now is growth. So it's not to like pinch pennies and to like be as profitable as possible at the moment. But if we wanted to be even more profitable, we would really nail down the cost of Indeed ad spend. And so with applications, you actually can reject them as well. So if you reject them, then you'll get charged for them. And so there's a way to kind of like hack the system if you wanted to like get the application, get the contact info, and you could reject it, and then Indeed could accept or deny your rejection of the application. So again, like there's ways to be more efficient with it. It's just not our present goal, but eventually when we start to maximize, when our goal is, okay, now we have our top line where we want it to be, it's going to be in the 6-figure mark. Now let's actually make that bottom line. Let's grow that bottom line. Then we'll get more efficient with ad spend on Indeed, ad spend on marketing. We'll start looking at other costs that we need now to just maintain rather than to continue to grow. So understand the season you're in as well. So in the beginning, like your asset is going to be the people. It's going to be the person. It's going to be the experiences. It's going to be you learn the skill set of interviewing and hiring people. Okay, and actually bring people onto your team. And the more that you do it, the better you get at it. So it's a skill set like anything else. Cool, guys. Awesome. Any other questions you guys got? Any other questions? Let's do one more question, and then Kate and I are gonna put the kids to bed. Maybe we're gonna read. Maybe we're gonna do something cool. Do something cool tonight. How's that sound, Katie? You wanna do something cool tonight? All right, guys. Well, appreciate you guys for hopping on here. And Katie has the names of the people who are going to get the book. So again, like once that book goes out, we will you'll get access to it. Okay. And then I'm going to buy. If you guys don't have access to the book, I'm going to buy that for you right now too. So we'll reach out to you guys. But happy Thursday. Thanks for getting on here. Appreciate you guys again. Get into your membership area for the recording. Be in there tomorrow. Facebook group. If you guys have any more questions, be on the Facebook group. And YouTube, go on to YouTube if you want more free content. And also if you're interested in deck in the day, make sure you take advantage of that before all the spots fill up. But excited to see you guys next week again. Happy Thursday, and we'll chat with you guys next week. Bye, guys.